Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to this week's live stream. Topic today is lessons learned from the 2021 PMP exam. The new PMP exam has been out since January 1st, and we have gone ahead and gathered a lot of good information and feedback from those who have taken the exam for you. That means that our learning objective this week is really quite narrowly focused. At the end of this presentation, you will be able to describe what to expect on the 2021 PMP exam, specifically based on the lessons learned that we are going to take a look at. Hello, everybody. My name is Cornelius Fichtner, and I have been a PMP trainer since about 2007, 2008, more or less. And all these logos that you see on the screen right now, my claim to fame: I'm the creator of the Project Management Podcast, the PrepCast, the Formula Guide, PDU Podcast, and also, quite important at the moment, the PM Exam Simulator. Welcome, and thank you for joining me today. Here is our agenda. Three main topics. First, I would like to talk about the upcoming PMI, PMP prep courses that we have scheduled. And then, as you can see, the main body of the presentation today is going to be up to 33 lessons learned that I have gathered. In the original invitation to this event, I said it's going to be 30, but I've added more and more and more. And some slides even have 2 and 3 lessons learned. So it's going to be jam-packed today. And at the end, I want to give you my take action, my recommendation on how you can pass your PMP exam in 2021. However, there's one caveat, because we have so many lessons learned. I haven't timed this, okay? I have no idea if I can get through all of them today. If I can't, well, we're going to have to repeat this in the future, and we're going to do another lessons learned again in some time down the road. So let's get cracking with the first lessons learned from the exam before we get to the upcoming courses. And this here it is all situational questions. This is nothing new, okay? We expected this, but generally speaking, this is a confirmation of what we expected. So to me, this is good news, okay? To me, this means PMI has not significantly changed the content of the questions. They are situational, they are not knowledge-based, which means that all of us PMP trainers are still doing the right thing in order to prepare you for your PMP exam by teaching you how to look at these situational questions from PMI and answer them correctly on your exam. All right, so much for the first sort of high-level lesson learned. And as I mentioned, I want to next talk about the upcoming courses that we have available. And if you would like to see that, let me bring on the ticker here at the bottom. This is the link where you can go to. So we have 4 courses scheduled right now. On February 22nd, we have a 1-week course scheduled. And this is with Oliver Lehmann, one of the biggest names in PMP training today. This is not a boot camp. It's a 1 week, but this is more than a boot camp. We call this our PMP Power Prep. Boot camp to us has a bit of a negative tone to it, because it's sort of just cramming and just not really teaching you much. So PMP Power Prep is what we call this. March 1st, we have a 2-week after-work course. So if you're interested in joining and training for the PMP exam after you're done with your work day, then that might be a good option. March 6th, we have another 5 weeks course starting, 5 Saturdays. And on March 22nd, another 1-week Power Prep with Oliver Lehmann. So please, if you are interested in any of these courses, do go to pm-prepcast.com/PMP and take a look at the available February and March courses. And by the way, the early bird discount, so for the February 22nd class there with Oliver Lehmann, the one at the top, the early bird ends today. So if you purchase this tomorrow, it would cost you more than if you registered today. All right. And now let us go through the dozens and dozens, almost 3 dozen actually, lessons learned that I have for you. I have structured them by question categories and feedback categories. And the first one I have here for you is question type. But let me take a look at our comments that we have coming in here quickly. We have a lot of people who are joining us from all over the world. And yeah, good morning, everybody. And hello, James there. Yes, Lee Lambert is here. Glad you made it. Glad that my link reached you in time that you could join us here today. All right. Lessons learned, number 1. So this is all about question types, the 5 different question types that PMI now has on their exam. This person here had 4 question types. Matching was by far the easiest of all the types. Selecting multiple answers was kind of tricky, but not very difficult. Also, there were questions where you had to click a chart. So if you didn't know this, this is going to be very surprising to you. If you had expected to take the PMP exam, 1 question, 4 answers, A, B, C, D, and that's it, well, that's no longer the case. PMI now added additional question types into their exam. And as you can see, matching, multiple choices. So you have 5 answers and then select 2 or select 3. Yeah, there is a drag and drop. You have to click in a chart. There's even one, they call this limited, I'm not quite sure what they call it anymore, limited something, where you have to type in. So instead of selecting A, B, C, D, you have to type in A, B, C, or D, right? So that's another choice, another option that they have right there. More question types. In terms of the new format questions, I got matching and multiple response. I'd say about 20 questions overall were like that, right? Fill in the blank. Limited fill in the blank is what they are called. There we go. My brain is back working order. Limited fill in the blank. You have to type the letter A, B, C of the answer instead of selecting it. This is kind of an odd one for me, frankly. You know, what's the difference if you give a student A, B, C, D on the exam and then you click on a radio button, or you have to type in A, B, C, or D on your keyboard? Where's the big difference in that? Is there must be some reason of PMI for doing this, okay? But that is just one of these new styles that they have. All right, we got a question from Laura. Will this be available to watch again later? Yes, Laura, this will be available on both Facebook and YouTube. All right. Lee says, as one of the founders of the PMP and PMI Fellow, I can personally endorse Oliver Lehmann as one of the best instructors in the business. Don't miss him. Okay, so in case, for those of you who didn't know this, okay, Lee Lambert, who has chosen to join us here today and whose comment you're seeing below here, he is the founder of the PMP exam. He worked with PMI back in the late 80s, I believe. See, I don't know the history all that well, or at least not now, to develop the PMP exam from the ground up. Okay, and he then later on also became a PMP. Okay. All right. Tony asks, taking the exam next month, what should I be focusing on? Keep watching, Tony. You'll get a lot of input in regards to what you need to be focusing on. Spoiler alert, Agile is a big topic right there. All right. Johanni Pestalozzi says, the reason for the letters is that they create a table showing information regarding a question and you have to choose which option best answers the case. Yes, but what's the difference between clicking on a radio button, A, B, C, D, versus typing it in, A, B, C, D? I see no real value in having me type it in versus me having to click on a radio button. I'm a bit confused about PMI's choice of doing it that way. Okay, so that is the limited fill in the blank question that we have. Moving on, we're still in question type. So what type of questions do you have to expect on the PMP exam? There are maybe 6 to 8 matching, and every question is a scenario-based answer. Okay, so matching questions, those are the ones where you have to drag and drop things on the screen and maybe match items to another. What is the abbreviation of WBS? So work breakdown structure. So you have to match those two together. There we go. This exam was predominantly Agile hybrid driven. Believe in yourself, focus and think like a PMI project manager. Don't try to use your work experience unless you're working on an Agile Scrum driven environment. Okay. More of these question types. Okay. There were several drag and drop questions. Again, you have to drag and drop things around on the screen. There was one click on the diagram question. Okay, so they will show you a diagram on the screen, maybe an S-curve, right? And then the question is, where in this diagram is most money spent on the project? And then you have to click here, okay? And you have to identify where in that graph is it, and you have to click on that hotspot there. There are many choose 3, choose 2. These can't be skipped, incomplete, so flag them and go back. So what he's trying to tell you is this. The question type that we all know of is 1 question, 4 answers, select 1. But there are others. 1 question, 7 answers, select 3. So you have to select 1, 2, 3 before you can click on the next. If you just say select 1 and you say next, it won't let you go. You have to select 1, 2, 3 before you can move on to the next question in the list. And he had 1 or 2 fill in the blank, which was just to type A, B, C, or D. All right. Tony says, your PMP booster helped me bridge the gap between last year and this year. Wonderful, Tony. Thank you very much. In case of those of you who are going to stay until the end, I'll be talking about the booster course later on. Tony asks, can we expect many questions on the ITTOs? No, Tony. We'll get to that in a minute. There are a few lessons learned about these ITTO questions types. All right. I only had 1 question where I had to enter ABCD based on the diagram shown. No questions where I had to click on the hotspot, point to a graph. So that's it. So now you are aware of the various question types that are on the PMP exam. This is important to know. You need to understand that the PMP exam no longer has just 1 question type, but multiple where you have to drag and drop, you have to click, you have to point, you have to type. So there is more to the PMP exam today than there was last year. Is the study guide provided, updated for the 2021 exam study? Kashini, I'm not quite sure which study guide you mean. Would you mind clarifying there a little bit? Lukas asked, hello, is it possible to take the exam in German as well? Thank you. Lukas, ich glaube ja. Ich glaube, das PMP-Examen ist auf Deutsch machbar. Musst du allerdings lokal bei dir schauen, ob das tatsächlich so ist. Okay? And in case you were wondering what that just was, I told Lukas that I think, yes, it is indeed possible to take it in German, but he would have to check locally if that is indeed the case. All right. Moving on to the next section. We're moving from the question types to the question style. Okay. Remember, we already had 1 question style. The very first one I showed you, that was, it is all situational questions. That was the first one. So the question style is all situational. Okay. Now let's take a look at a few other lessons learned that people have given us. The exam questions were hard to wrap my head around. It just seemed like the language of many questions was just awkward to comprehend. I tried to rephrase the question, but often I found myself asking, what do any of these possible answer choices have anything to do with this question? Okay. This points to ambiguity. Okay, you're not quite sure in regards to what is this question, what are the answers, and this is something that we have known for several years now. the PMP exam questions are ambiguous. It's very hard to figure out where you are and what it is and how it is. And this is where we do a balancing act on our exam simulator. How ambiguous can we be in the PMP exam simulator and the PrepCast simulator before people start complaining and saying, this is impossible, I can't answer this question, okay? And then they go take the PMP exam and they come back to us and they tell us, your questions aren't ambiguous enough, okay? So we're really doing a balancing act there. How much ambiguity can we put in before people start complaining? Okay. Ellie asks, how many questions are needed to practice and be ready? This is very hard to say, Ellie, because it all depends on your personal understanding and ability to translate your knowledge into the exam sample questions. In our exam simulator, we have a really good measure. If you reach an average of about 75% or above, you have an 88% chance of passing your exam on the first try. This is pure statistics, okay? It all depends on the individual. Your percentage could be higher, your percentage could be a lot less. But on average, reach 75% in our simulator, you get an 88% chance of passing your exam. Vipina asks, do people from the construction industry get different patterns of question? No. Everybody gets the same type of questions. There is no industry focus on the PMP exam. Okay. Next, remember, we're still in question style. Never at any time did I feel, oh yeah, no brainer, I know this question. Okay, so this is probably going to be the big surprise for many people on the exam. The exam is really hard. It's not something that you can go to and just say, oh, I can do this. This is easy. No, it takes a lot of dedication and effort. Okay. Here we go. Prakash asks, how many formula-based questions can be expected in the new exam? We'll get to that in a little while, Prakash. I have a whole section about formulas in my presentation here. Kaushik asks, is a brain dump allowed? Yes, it is allowed, but you must use the on-screen whiteboard only, okay? Kaushik asks, how much depth of Agile knowledge is needed? We'll get to that in just a bit. Whole section about Agile coming up in just a moment. Will we learn this new information when we update our certificate? Elshad, are you saying you are already PMP certified and you're wondering if all of this new information is going to be given to you? Am I understanding you correct? Okay. All right. Almas asks, do you offer a coupon? Yes, we do have a coupon. And I'm pretty sure that my colleague Shannon is going to provide the link to the coupon to you right now. However, this month, we only have one coupon every month, okay? This month, our coupon is for our Agile product, not for our PMP product. Next month, there may be a coupon for the PMP. I don't know exactly what is scheduled for the next month. So coupon link is coming any moment now. There we go. Okay, so moving on. Again, we're still in the question style. More than 50% of the exam questions are structured in a way to identify what the project manager will do next. And most of the questions were, what should the project manager do next? So these are the same lesson learned, but from two different people, right? So you have to understand the scenario. You have to understand what the problem is. And then based on your understanding, what would you do next? What is the correct thing to do next? Okay, we're getting a lot of these here. Is the PMBOK 6th edition still relevant? Yes, D, it is, because the PMBOK Guide 7th edition does not exist yet. The PMBOK Guide 7th edition will not be published before March 31st. So the PMBOK Guide 6th edition is still relevant, and according to PMI, even after PMBOK Guide 7th edition is released, PMBOK Guide 6th edition is going to be relevant still. Okay. Josue says, I just passed the exam Friday. Thanks for your courses. The ambiguity in the questions is correct, which makes it challenging when there is a time constraint. Taking the PMP Exam Simulator 2021 is critical. Well, thank you very much for telling me this, because believe it or not, my next slide is about the exam simulator. This is somebody who took the exam and then told us our exam simulator, their exam simulator, consists of 51% of my success in both exams that I've taken. I would never feel, and that means he's taken both the PMP or she, PMP and ACP. I would never feel comfortable to take exams without using these simulators. After taking the real exam and the simulator, I can say that the simulator is about 90% of the real exam. And here's a link if you're interested in it. It's pmexamsimulator.com. Some people call this the PrepCast simulator, but the official term is the PM Exam Simulator. That's where you can go to find it. Okay. So yes, congratulations, Aniket. Moving on. The big topic, the third big topic that we have here is Agile. And I mentioned this in the beginning, spoiler alert, Agile is important. 50% of the new exam is Agile. And let me repeat that, 50% of the new exam is Agile. As we're going through these lessons learned, you'll see people saying it's 90, it's 200% Agile. No, not that much, but it's 50%. It's not more than 50%. Okay, right. But still, just make sure you know how to move in Agile, how to change requests work. How do you manage difficult people conflicts? How is motivation done in Agile? What do you do if the team has a lack in their skills? There are a few budget questions, but not too serious. Just understand project performance and what to do about it, and what to do about it when the project performance sucks. Okay, as you can tell, I have not edited these. These are, word for word from the people who have given us these lessons learned here. All right, so Agile is important. Make sure you know Agile. General tip would be to have a good knowledge of Agile and Scrum methodologies, as well as the roles and responsibilities for players within a team. This has been a recurring theme. Know Agile, know Scrums, and know the roles and responsibilities of people within an Agile environment. And my recommendation at the end on how you should prepare is actually using a lot of that as a basis and as input for what my recommendation is going to be. Okay, moving on. Agile versus waterfall. This was a big topic on my exam. Relationship with team towards the product owner, team mind or project manager or functional manager. Again, the second item here on the screen talks about relationships and functions and roles and responsibilities. Okay. The exam is highly agile and hybrid, then predictive. I can say 60% agile Scrum hybrid, then 35% predictive. Okay, like I said, it's probably more like 50-50. That's what the exam content outline tells us. But what I think is happening is this. People aren't used to getting all these agile questions. So they think it's more than it probably truly is on the exam. Okay. So to me, it's probably 50-50, but it seems like it's a lot more than 50-50. Okay. Let's see. Another question. Can we expect any changes to the ways PDUs over the 3-year certification period? Some are staying the exam in 2019. No GTMX 14. PDUs after you are certified, earning your 60 PDUs after you are certified. No change at all to that. It is still the same. Okay. Are the questions in the exam really as long as in the PM Exam Simulator 2020? Any tips regarding time management? Thanks. All right, Lucas. We have been told that the questions on the exam are either the same length or shorter. Okay. It all depends which of the many lessons learned you want to believe. Ayodele asks, my exam is on Friday. Do you think 79 and 75 in the PrepCast 21 simulate exam 1 and 2 means I can pass? I'm still reviewing. You are on the right track, okay? You are definitely on the right track with that. My recommendation, take exam 3 and see how you're doing there, okay? Since it is on Friday, right? Keep answering questions. Take exam 3, take exam 4, continue doing it. But 79 and 75, you're on the right track, definitely. So this is a good number. Okay. Let's see. Where can I get the student manual? I already have 35 contacts. I don't want to spend again just for it. Kaushik, the student manual from PMI is only available if you join and pay for a PMI class. You cannot get the student manual from PMI without taking the PMI class. Jose says, I would recommend the PrepCast booster course. It goes over the concepts really well. The PM Bridge course, I also took tests more in knowledge and situational scenarios. So to explain, we have a booster course. The booster course is intended for those people who studied in 2020, but now it's 2021 and you have to take the current exam, right? So you need to sort of bridge, you need to add all this knowledge. PMI has a very similar course that they had. You can no longer sign up for the PMI course, if I'm not mistaken. They've closed registration. Our booster course is still available. And Josue says, I had both, and they were both helpful, but PMI is more testing your knowledge on situational scenarios, while we help you understand and learn the knowledge that you need for this. I'll be talking about the booster course in a little while there. Okay. And you are welcome. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Oh, I hope. Okay. Your sessions are very spot on, Cornelius. I appreciate your time and effort spent. You're welcome, GTMX14. All right. Moving on to the next slide here. We're still in the Agile section. This exam was predominantly Agile hybrid driven. Believe in yourself, focus, and think like a PMI project manager. Don't try to use your work experience unless you're working in an Agile Scrum environment. Generally speaking, the don't try to use your work experience is correct, because PMI needs to have an abstract exam. You know, we had earlier a question, will I get different questions if I am in the construction industry? No, you're not going to get different. So the questions are theoretical in nature, but situational. So using your work experience and answering the way you would do it at work is oftentimes not the right way to do it. Okay. So Ramjajit asks, what are the changes need to focus on for PMP 7 as a trainer point of view? Again, PMP 7th edition isn't out yet. You cannot change your focus because it does not exist. You cannot train something that doesn't exist yet. And we do not know when the PMP 7th edition will really come out. All right, many questions were about MVP, minimum viable product, how to handle team members' differences between methodologies. Again, Agile is an important topic here. Minimum viable product. You need to know how to handle team members. And again, the difference between the methodologies, how to switch from one methodology to another. These are important topics that you need to know. Okay. Annika says, I have a subscription. Do I need to buy it again? So for Hollow Bridge course, you've said the difference. Okay, so Aniket, our bridging course, the booster course, is $49. It is focused on helping you understand all the topics that you may have missed. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna, let's see, I don't have a link for the booster course ready here, but I'm pretty sure my colleague will provide the link to the booster course in just a moment. Okay. Prakash asks, is the 2021 simulator updated to reflect ITTO changes? Yes, it is indeed. Although we have one exam that is fully ITTO based. So you will find very few ITTO questions in our normal exam simulator. But we have one exam that's just ITTOs. Nothing but it. Because people, for whatever reason, still want ITTO questions just to study the ITTOs and make sure they understand these inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs a bit. Okay. So, still in Agile. Moving on. Most Agile is actually Scrum. Okay. Important thing to understand. You need to study the Scrum Guide. We'll talk about that again a little later. I only had 2 questions related to Kanban, and they were softballs. If you learn the Scrum basics really well, you can solve at least 25% of the exam easily. Know what a minimum viable product, an MVP, and DOD means. DOD is not the Department of Defense. That is the definition of done, an Agile term. Okay, so you really need to know your Agile terminology. If you haven't studied Agile yet, if you are new to Agile, Agile is important for this exam, okay? At the end, I have the recommended study approach. We'll get to it. I'll show you what you need to study and how you need to study this. Okay. Let's see. You tried with pronouncing. Okay. And you tried to do better. Thank you. I will... send me how it's pronounced so that next time I know how to pronounce it properly. Thank you. All right. So, Agile is important. That is clear what's coming out of all of these lessons learned that we have. Another one on Agile, full of Agile questions. No Scrum, Kanban, retrospectives, leadership styles, implement or starting Agile. Again, implement or starting Agile. That seems to be a recurring theme as well. Moving from predictive to Agile, okay? And this person also had 2 calculation questions, several drag and drop scenarios. Okay, but again, it shows you how important Agile is overall. Kaushik asks, can I just take the booster course and skip getting the student manual and pass the exam? Let's ask the other student, the other person. We had somebody else who had our booster course. Would you mind typing in the chat how you used our booster course? I don't think you took the actual PMP exam from PMP training course from PMI, right? You just used your 2020 training, added the booster course, and then you took and passed your exam. That's my understanding of how the other student did this. I'll let the other student confirm that understanding. Okay. All right. All right, folks. I'm getting a lot of questions about the PMBOK Guide 6th editions and 7th edition. I will not be talking about the PMBOK Guide 6th or 7th edition any further, just to make it absolutely clear. Right now, PMBOK Guide 6th edition is what you need. Do not worry about the 7th edition, okay? That's the last time I'm going to say this. Use the 6th edition. Ignore the 7th edition. Moving on. I took the exam on January 1st, and it included questions about the product owner, scrum master, product manager, responsibilities, and knowing the role of each of them. Okay. Yes, that's important to know all of these things here. Just out of curiosity, Zacharias asks, why did PMI decide to merge Agile methodologies into the PMP exam? Well, Zachariah, the answer here is quite clear. Agile is big. It's an important topic. If you are a generalist project manager, and the PMP exam is a generalist project management exam, you need to know about Agile. If you work in a company that does Agile, you have to know this. So this is nothing but a change in our profession. I started learning about Agile several years ago, and I've added Agile to my tool belt, and we're doing mostly Agile projects in our company now. So you, on the PMP exam, need to know and understand Agile. It's just one of those things. Why do you need to know about scope management? Well, because it's important, right? Why do you need to know about predictive project management? It's important. If you are a good project manager who wants to pass the PMP exam, you need to know Agile, and you need to know all of these topics. Okay. That's kind of the way that I see it. All right. The question, is the proctored exam actually 270? Okay. No. Ravi, when you start your real PMP exam, you have 230 minutes. And then in addition to that, you will be asked to take 2 breaks of 10 minutes. So a total of 250 minutes, 250 minutes. Okay. All right. Josue confirms that he took the last year's training and then added the PrepCast booster course on top, and he passed. I think you did say you passed your exam, right? And then he passed his exam using that approach with the last year training and the booster course there. Okay, next one. Again, has done a tremendous job in regards to the exam simulator. This is here, right? Each and every answer choice of the questions in the simulator, they also explain in detail, while the other options will not be a correct answer. This helps clarify a lot of doubts and around which answer choice to select. And I think this is where our simulator shines above other people's simulators, okay? We not only tell you why your answer was correct and give you a general explanation, for most of our questions, we have a per choice explanation. So if you selected B and it's incorrect, it will tell you why it's incorrect. There are some questions where it doesn't make sense. 1 and 1 is 2. If you selected, 1 and 1 is 5, well, it's mathematically incorrect. We're not going to explain to you that you calculated it wrong, right? So, but in most questions where, there is a certain gray area, we explain why is this the case? Why did you get the answer wrong? All right, so we've ended the Agile section here, and we're moving on to hybrid. So the exam has Agile, hybrid, and predictive questions, and we found a few hybrid-related lessons learned as well. Let's see. How important are the reference book for the 2021 PMP exam? Prajwal, if you have the books, look at them. Read through them a little bit. Look at the sections that you may not know, but you don't have to really read. Other than the Agile Practice Guide and the PMBOK Guide, 6th edition, you don't have to read the other. Okay. Okay. Hybrid lessons learned. Many questions about traditional project management and the team moving to Agile or hybrid. Let me ask you this. How many times have you heard this today? Team moving from traditional to Agile and hybrid. Okay. Big topic. You have to understand how that goes. Okay. And you must determine the best practices to do so. Prepare to understand how predictive process groups relate to the Scrum sprint cycle. And then in all upper caps, important. Okay. However, this is the only person who said this particular last statement. Prepare to understand how predictive process groups relate to the Scrum sprint cycle. Okay. That's the only person, the only lessons learned that I found where this is mentioned. Okay. And this is, again, another one of those. There are probably 75 to 85 hybrid Agile related questions. Again, the exam content outline clearly states 50% is predictive, 50% is Agile. All right? Agile and hybrid. Okay? So if you tell me that it's 85% on your exam was Agile and hybrid, did you really have a statistic? Did you note every single question and make sure, is it Agile? Is it predictive? No, you didn't. It's a best guess. Okay. People are just seeing so many Agile questions, they're not used to it, and therefore they go, oh my God, this is only Agile now. Okay. Is memorization of the ITTOs, like in previous versions, important to pass the exam in 2021? No, it is not. You do not have to memorize the ITTOs. There are a few lessons learned coming up on this topic in just a moment. Okay. Remember, we're still in hybrid here. The new exam is a combination of the old exam plus Agile hybrid business practices and leadership skills. The exam was highly Agile and hybrid, then predictive. Oh, we've already seen that one, so I duplicated this particular one here. Oh, we've had that previously. All right. Next one. I passed the exam today, scoring above target in all areas except one. The exam simulator is a game changer. All right. Yeah, this is one more who says how good our exam simulator is right there. Some of you have asked about the formulas earlier. So let's move on to the formulas then. Oh, wait, I got a question. Does it help with the PMP preparation exam if I take the CSM course and then test before giving the PMP? Of course it does, Vasanta. Yes, if you have the opportunity to take the CSM before you take the PMP, it will help because the CSM will teach you Scrum in depth and you'll really understand Scrum. And since Scrum seems to be a big part of the PMP exam, a big focus on the Agile side, it's good to know what Scrum really does. And that's what the CMSM is all about. All right, formulas and calculator. Okay. Not surprising. No full math questions at all. This is the good news, okay? PMI has reduced their formulas on the exam more and more and more. When I took the exam, very heavy on formulas. You really needed to know every single formula backwards and forwards. You had to be able to calculate stuff. Yeah. This is no longer the case, okay? There are fewer formula-based questions today than there were in the past. But remember, the PMP exam continuously changes. Half a year from now, there may be 10, 15 formula-based questions on the exam again. We don't know what PMI is going to do in the future. Okay. I'm checking the comments. Oops, sorry. Again. Let's see. I'm taking the Six Sigma Green Belt, and it's helping me all around my Agile and waterfall knowledge. Yes, Tony, definitely. If you are taking a Six Sigma Green Belt, then yeah, that will also be helpful in regards to the exam. All right. Limited math, I had to know what a CPI greater than 1 is, and an SPI meant for earned value, etc. So this is a recurring kind of theme. Know and understand earned value and what it means. What is an SPI smaller than 1? What is a CPI greater than 1? What is it when planned value is like this versus scheduled value? All of that you have to understand. You have to be able to analyze the numbers and react based on the numbers that PMI is give you in the scenario. No calculator needed. There are some trick questions to get you to believe you have to calculate a value, but the value was either in the question itself or the answer was not a value. Okay, so read the full question, RTFQ. Make sure that you read the question correctly. Make sure you understand what they're really asking and get to that level of doing this. There are hardly 1 to 2 questions requiring calculation. Just understand the terms CPI, SPI, float, compression, fast tracking, resource leveling, and smoothing. So it is important to understand and know all the terms that are related to formulas and how they apply to your daily work as a project manager. You don't necessarily have to be able to calculate them, okay? But you have to be able to clearly look at them, analyze them, and based on your understanding, pick the correct answer. That is still important. All right, now we're getting to the all-important, or people asking again, what about the definitions and ITTO, the inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs from the PMBOK Guide 6th edition? Okay. Amir asks, Agile is used mostly in the IT field, not used in every industry. Why is it included in the PMP exam? Amir, I explained that earlier. Agile is big. Yes, it may not be used in your industry in particular, but more and more industries are using and implementing Agile approaches here and there. So it's coming. It is an important topic. Early on in the very early days, earned value wasn't important, but today earned value is important. Okay, so this is in your industry maybe an emerging trend, but in many other industries this is a big trend. Okay, James says, know the right-hand column of the PMBOK Guide, page 267. Okay, I'm reaching over here. I'm opening up the PMBOK guide right now. Page 267. Page 267. Ah, that is the formula table. That is table 7.1. Yes, exactly, James. So page 267 on the right-hand side, that table, the interpretation of the results, that's what you need to know. So going back here to the previous slide, right? Understand the terms. Be able to do that. And page 267 of the PMBOK guide, that is indeed where you should be able to find that. And Tony says, I learned the pairing method from Jeff Furman. If you don't know what that is, please take a look at the Project Management Podcast, episode 260, I believe. So that is, wait, let me type this in here, pm-podcast.com/260. There we go, coming in the chat at you right now. So if you go to that particular link, I should have put HTTP in front. If you go to that link, if it is clickable, that will tell you all about the pairing method from Jeff Furman there. Okay. Definitions and ITTOs. That's our next section here. Know the definition. In the back of the PMBOK, there's an exhaustive list of key terms and definitions. So there is a glossary, and there is a list of terminologies. And just to make sure, this starts on page 695. That's where the glossary is. They have common acronyms, they have definitions, right? You definitely want to know and understand that in the back of the PMBOK guide. You want to know what they are. But, and this is important, I didn't study the ITTOs at all. They're good to know from a 30,000-foot perspective, but don't stress over them. Okay, so in other words, yes, it is important that you know the definitions, that you have an understanding of what they are. That if I tell you, if I say somebody is using a WBS, you know what I'm talking about. If I'm telling you that the CPI is above 1, you should understand what that means. But you don't have to go to the total level of detail and understand every single thing about it. Know them from the 30,000-foot view, which I believe is about 9 kilometers roughly up in the air. But you don't need to know all the details on the ground. Okay, that is an important thing to know. We had a couple of questions about breaks. So let's talk about breaks. All right. In the old exam, when I took the exam, and roughly until about 2019, something like that, the PMP exam was 4 hours in duration, no break whatsoever. If you stood up and went to the bathroom, that time was lost. 10 minutes out, back in, well, you have 10 minutes lost of your exam time. Because people are now taking the exam from home, PMI added 2 breaks to the exam. You answer 60 questions, then you submit those 60 questions, and you take a 10-minute break. 0 to 10 minutes. You don't have to take a break, but everybody recommends do take a break. Get up, walk around, drink a glass of water, go to the bathroom, take that break. Okay? Then you come back, you work on the next 60 questions, you submit those 60 questions, you take another 10-minute break. All right, get up, drink, bathroom, relax, breathe in, breathe out, sit down, then you answer the last 60 questions. All right, let's see what people have to say about the breaks. And this lesson learned pretty much explains what I just said. There are 2 breaks. Both are 10 minutes after question 60 and again after question 120. And just to confirm what I said earlier, the 10-minute breaks are in addition to your 230 minutes. The exam time that you have for the 180 questions is 230 minutes plus 10-minute break plus 10-minute break. So it's 250 in total that you have available. Okay. Can we get through the 2021 exam virtually without using online whiteboard? as it's hard to use. You should be able to. Prajval, many people probably have done that. Okay. An important thing also about the breaks is once you submit to these questions, you cannot go back, right? So you have taken 60 questions and just submitted them, and now you're taking a 10-minute break. You cannot go back to the previous 60 questions. They're done. You're done with those. You have to work on the next 60 questions. So in essence, the PMP exam now has 3 parts. Part 1, 60 question, complete, submit, take a 10-minute break. Part 2, 60 questions, complete, submit, take a 10-minute break. And then the final part, 60 questions, complete, submit, end exam. You cannot go back. So in part 1, you cannot look forward. In part 2, you cannot go back or look forward. And in part 3, you cannot look back. You cannot go back and change questions. So it's 60 questions, 60 questions, 60 questions, and you're only working on those 60 questions. So you cannot go back to the previous questions. All right. Ved, is it 250 or 270? It is 250 in total. Well, actually, it's, again, 230 for answering the questions, plus a 10-minute break, plus a 10-minute break. That's 250. That is my understanding. Would those who have recently taken the exam please confirm that it's 230 plus 10 plus 10? Would appreciate your answer here in the chat. Can I expect a network diagram in the 2021 exam? According to 2 or 3 lessons learned that I have seen, I have not included those in here today. No network diagram on their exam. Is there a ticking timer similar to the PrepCast timer? Yes, there is. And it is in minutes. That's why we changed it. We used to have hours and minutes, but PMP exam is now 230 minutes, and it starts ticking down at 239 minutes and it goes down. It's actually at the top right of your screen. Wait, top left of your screen. That's where it is. Okay. Do you get the breaks? Yes, Laura. That's exactly why. Those 2 breaks that you're getting, that this person here is talking about, that's because at home it's very difficult to sit on your chair for 4 hours and not, moving at all. So they have added these 2 breaks, and you get those at home. Can you schedule your breaks? No. Always 60 question break, 60 question break, 60 question end. That's how it is. Nothing else is possible, Alan. Okay. Are the 200 equally distributed? No, you have to manage your own time. So if you take 220 minutes for the first 60 questions, you have a problem because now you only have 10, 20 minutes left for the other 120. So it is your own time scheduling that you need to be aware of. Okay. I heard that the exam time will change after April 18th. Could that be right? Vasanta, I have not heard that. I do not know. We have not heard anything at all. Josue, who passed the exam, says yes, 230 minutes on a timer counting down plus 2 times 10-minute break equals a total of 250 minutes in total. Right. Okay. Moving on. PMP Exam Simulator. Let me just fly through these here a little bit. Many people who are using our PMP Exam Simulator, they tell us how good the simulator is and how well it has helped them to prepare for the exam. I'm very proud of our product. We have almost 1,000 reviews on Google, and we are at 4.9 out of 5 stars. So that should tell you how good it is. I especially like this person here because he says, I am from the IT industry and the software of this simulator is of high quality, felt close to the Pearson VUE software, to me at least. So that's very nice to know. All right, so much about these 2 slides here of the exam simulator, because I have this one right here for you, or I think it's 2 actually. These are the big ones that I would like you to really take to heart. Okay. First of all, I read every question at least twice and every answer twice before I even started to figure out what the right answer could be. I wanted to make sure my brain wasn't accidentally slipping in something or making some kind of premature assumption which would cause me to answer incorrectly. To me, this takes me back to Kevin Riley. Kevin Riley, PMP trainer, and he used to say, RTFQ, read the full question. And I can just echo that. If you don't read the question properly, you will select the wrong answer. You have to read the question properly. You have to understand the question. You really have to take in what's going on here. And then, oftentimes when I do this, I try to find the answer in my head before I even look at the available answer choices, and then read all the answer choices and make your choice based on that understanding. If you didn't read the question properly, your understanding will be incorrect. You will choose the wrong answer. So, very important. Read the question properly, read the answers properly in order to select the correct answer. Okay? Second big one. Whoop, went one too far. There you go. This exam is really about solving problems and fixing issues with people and plans. Practical application is definitely the name of the game. This is why I say, when I took the PMP exam back in 2004, a lot of it was memorization. A lot of it was ITTO based. I knew every single ITTO by heart. Okay? Which process has which ITTOs? I could tell you that off my memory. Useless today. Today, the PMP exam is the practical application of your knowledge of project management to scenario-based exam questions. How do you learn to do that? With an exam simulator. And yes, I talk about my exam simulator a lot. There are others out there. Dan Ryan has an exam simulator. PM Training has an exam simulator. Andy Crow has an exam simulator. Rita Mulcahy has an exam simulator. Frankly, in the end, I don't care which exam simulator you use, but you need an exam simulator in order to pass this exam. It is harder than ever before, and the exam simulator will help you to apply your theoretical knowledge and experience to sample questions, just so the way it will be on the real exam. Okay. Thomas asks, is there a mobile app version of Simulator? Thomas, if you're asking about mine, it can be used on a mobile device. Yes. But here's the thing. You're not taking the PMP exam on your mobile device. For the PMP exam, you're sitting on a chair in front of a computer with a mouse in your hand. That's what you want to practice. Don't feel that, oh, I'm just going to use the phone and I'm doing it on my phone. You're training in the wrong environment. Okay. If you just say, oh, well, you know, I'm on public transport every day for 20 minutes, and during that time, I just want to answer a few questions. Perfect. Your primary means of studying or using an exam simulator, chair, computer, desk, mouse, keyboard, okay? Occasionally using it on a mobile device, that's fine, okay? There is a mobile application available. I believe it's on Android and iPhone that you can, it's only on mobile. Yes, you can use that, but it is not the way that the PMP exam is administered. That's part of your practice. Think about it this way. If you are a marathon runner, okay, would you be running your marathon, I don't know, in your home? No, you wouldn't. You would go out and you would run a marathon in the wild. You would practice as close to the real thing as possible. It's the same thing with this exam. You want to practice in the real way. Okay, getting off my soapbox here. I've been preaching this for so many years. Okay. All right. One more question here. Tony asks, do you have an opinion on taking the PMP exam in person or online or at home. Okay. I took the first test at home in December 2020 and failed. I'm taking the next one in person, I think, because of the PMP prep, will be more confident. And Tony, with the pandemic going on, think of your level of confidence. Are you confident of going to a testing center? Please wear a double mask, surgical mask, cloth mask on top, right? Double mask up for this. Are you going to feel comfortable doing that there and sitting there and with all the people around you? That is up to you. If you would like to be extremely safe, do it at home. That's really the best that I can say. Sharon asks, I'll be taking on-site? Yes. If you're taking the exam in a Pearson VUE testing center, everything will be ready for you. You just sit down in front of a computer and you start taking the exam on the screen in front of you. Okay, and now, wow, we're already an hour here. Now let me go into the aspects. So we are done with my 33 slides full of lessons learned. Now let me give you my strategy and training materials for the new exam. Okay. But before we do that, Prakash asks, how often is the exam simulator updated as per these lessons learned? Continuously, Prakash. We are learning as we go along. For example, we've added additional drag and drop questions to our exam simulator, right? So what we see matches what we have, but whenever we see something that we don't have, we add it in as quickly as possible. Okay, so here is my strategy for you. Okay, you start at the bottom with the PMI authorized training course. And if you're wondering where to get that PMI authorized training course, then please go to this URL right here, pmprepcast.com/PMP. That is where we are offering our PMP exam prep course. On top of that, you're going to study the PMBOK Guide 6th edition and the Agile Practice Guide. Okay, they come together as a bundle. You want to study the Agile Practice Guide. As you have seen, Agile is a huge topic. So in addition to the Agile Practice Guide, I want you to study the Agile Manifesto, and I want you to study the Scrum Guide at scrumguide.org. Okay? So that's your training. That's what you study. That is what you have to learn. And then on top of that, there at the right corner, Simulat. It happens every single week. My logo overlays the simulator there. Let me get that out of the way. There we go. Simulator. There we are. So ATP means you want to make sure that you get all your training from an authorized training partner. You want to make sure that your instructor there in the middle at the top is a PMI authorized instructor, and you need a simulator. Those are your primary training materials that you need. Okay, this is for those people who have not yet studied anything, who are starting out now. But what about those people who have already studied last year in 2020? There are still many of you around who started last year, now need to upgrade. So here is a strategy and training materials for the new exam if you originally prepared to take your exam last year. Let me check. Any new questions here? Chocolate and munchies allowed by taking the exam at home? No, Kaushik, nothing is allowed. You are not allowed to have anything on your desk. Let me do this. Okay. Look at this mess here on my desk, right? Totally messy at the moment. There's a glass of water for myself here. No, you have to have, sorry about that. Where are we? Here we go. You have to have a completely empty desk. I've heard of people who were told that printer over there, put that printer on the ground, unplug it. Okay. They ask you to send pictures of your environment. They make you turn the camera around. So they're doing everything they can to keep this safe. Tony asks, am I an authorized PMI instructor? Yes, I am. You can see the link to my authorized trainer badge on our website. Okay. I would not be doing this if I weren't an ATP trainer. Do you sell the APG guide separately, Maria? No, you do not have to buy the APG, the Agile Practice Guide. It comes free with the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. So if you are a PMI member, go download the PDF version of the PMBOK Guide 6th edition from the PMI website. The Agile Practice Guide is in the back, starting after page 756. So 760, something like that, in the PDF document. That's where the Agile Practice Guide begins. Okay, here we go. So what if you had already started studying in 2020 and now you're taking the 2021 exam? Here we go. This is what you do. As the basis, you have your 2020 studies. If you took your 2020 studies from us, 75 to 85%, more or less, somewhere around there, is what you need, is covered in 2021. So our 2021 training covers 75 to 85% of the 2021 training. So you're already very close to the finishing line with our old 2020 training. I cannot say, other instructors and other training providers, but ours, that's what it is for us. On top of that, you are going to want the booster course, okay? And http://pm-prepcast.com/booster. Here we go. So this is where you want to go to for the booster course. Okay, I've just put that into the chat, the link right there. And you want to take the booster course. And what the booster course will do is, in addition to the 75, 85%, the booster course gives you all the other information that you need. A lot of Agile is in there, about 15 hours of Agile. And what people forgot to look at, the old exam was really process focused, initiating, planning, executing, and all these 42 processes on the PMBOK Guide. But leadership was not really strongly focused on. Interpersonal relationships, they forgot to really focus on that. So we have a focus on that as well in the booster course to make sure that you get what you need right there. Okay. And on top of that, you still have to study the PMBOK Guide 6th edition and the Agile Practice Guide. You still have to read the Manifesto and the Scrum Guide. And of course, you want the 2021 simulator. Okay, so that's my recommendation for those who have studied in 2020 and now need to finish in 2021. So here's my take action for all of you. Question there from Ramajit. How do you become an ATP? You have to be a company, or are you asking how to become an ATP trainer? That's different. So if you are a company, you have to apply to PMI to be approved as a PMI authorized training partner company. And if you want to become an ATP trainer, you have to find a company who is already an ATP, and they will sponsor you with PMI. Okay. So first thing you want to do is look for the ATP badge, okay? Make sure that the company that you're getting the training from is an ATP badge if you want to take the official PMI course. Take the official authorized PMI PMP prep course. Take that training from PMI. And once again, this here is our link. Let me make it bigger. There we go. I'm giving you the big link right there, okay? Then, oh, no, wait. That's too big, overlaps my bullet points. You need to, once you're done with the course, you need to complement this with 3 to 5 weeks of self-study, okay? The best PMP exam prep course cannot in 1 week prepare you fully for the new PMP exam, okay? And you need to invest 3 to 5 weeks of self-study. There's no way around that. We're currently working on a roadmap, on a few guidebooks in order to help you. So our goal is in fact this. Once you are done with day 5 of the official PMI course, we can give you a guidebook and say, and now that you're done with day 5, here's what you do between day 5 and your exam. Here are all the things you need to do. Here's all everything that you have to study, to read, to do. Okay, this is your study plan, so to speak, between day 5 and the exam. You want to study the PMBOK guide, the APG, the manifesto, the Scrum guide, and yes, you want to use an exam simulator. And I'm telling you, it may sound very simplistic at the end to say take and pass your exam, but if you do all of these steps right, and you study hard and you take the exam, you take the course, then, take and pass the exam is really just the final step in this long process of preparing for that exam. Okay, so if you are taking a course in 2021, then please do stop by at this URL here, pmprepcast.com/PMP. As a reminder, our next course starts on Monday with Oliver Lehmann, and we had a really good endorsement earlier on from Lee Lambert, who is the founder of the PMP exam, who said, yes, Oliver Lehmann, excellent instructor. So if you want a really good instructor for your PMP exam prep, starts next Monday. Go to this URL here and sign up for the course with Oliver Lehmann. Okay. And let's see, I've seen a few new comments coming in here. Okay, I took the PM authorized PrepCast 5 Saturdays in January, February. Alan, yes, I believe it is already included, Alan. So if you go back to our learning management system, okay, if you go back to our learning management system and you look into the learning path where you had all the recorded lessons to watch, near the top, there is the booster course study checklist. That's all we have at the moment. We're only working on the guidebook, okay? The booster course study checklist, that's the one you want to look at, Alan, okay? For the time being, that's what we have there. How many hours to study in the 3 to 5 weeks roadmap? That really depends, Muhammad, on your own level of comfort. Again, let me go back to the previous slide here. I think the most important part is use an exam simulator. Okay, if you reach around 75% in our exam simulator, at least, you are ready. Okay, that's kind of your target number that you want to reach. For some people, it takes 3 weeks of 1 hour a day. For other people, it takes 5 weeks of 2.5 hours a day. It really depends on your personal situation. There is no hard and fast rule as to what it is and how long it actually takes. Okay. All right. One more time, John. I've mentioned this at least 10 times today. There is no PMBOK Guide 7th edition. The PMBOK Guide 7th edition does not exist. The PMBOK Guide 6th edition is what the current exam is based on. You're studying the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. You're not studying the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Okay. Do I need to study the tasks and enablers to pass the exam? Kaushik asks. That is from the exam content outline. You should be familiar with those. You have to be familiar with all of these. So here's what I recommend you do. Okay. Open up the exam content out, print it out, and then take, a yellow highlighter, a red okay, that's not a red highlighter, and this is also not a green highlighter. So yellow, red, and green, you want highlighters in your hand, and then highlight everything. Okay, go through your ECO and highlight. Green, I know this, I know this, I know. Oh, yellow, I don't know this. Red, I have never heard of this before. Okay, do this, get a feel for where you are at in your understanding of the exam content outline. And if you do the yellow, green, red approach, you'll instantly know, oh, I need to learn this, I need to learn that. I'm good here, right? So this is your personal approach of doing this. Prakash asks, what is the best approach? Timed quiz and then practice exams? Yes. Start with the timed quizzes, 10 questions, 20 questions here for a few weeks, and then add the full 180 questions exam into it. Jevon asks, how many questions contained in your exam simulator? What is the cost? It is $149, and it has 2,100 questions. Right. What? There we go. Here it is, Jevon. You can find it at pmexamsimulator.com. Wait, I have to change the link at the bottom now. There we go. pmexamsimulator.com is now flashing across your screen. This is where you want to go, okay? It has 210 questions, and it costs $149. There you go. Agile Manifesto available in APG. So the Agile Manifesto, Sajin, is at Agile Manifesto. Just look for the Agile Manifesto and you'll find it very, very easily. And yes, if you look at the page and you go, this looks very old and outdated and simple, you're on the right page. The Agile Manifesto consists of 4 paragraphs and 12 principles. That's it. The Scrum Guide is available at scrumguides.org. And the Agile Practice Guide is available for free from PMI. Okay, folks, we have reached the end of the presentation. One final time. If you are taking a course in 2021 and you're thinking about taking a course in 2021 to prepare for your PMP exam, then please do visit pmprepcast.com/PMP. Our next course starts this coming Monday, so today in a week, with instructor Oliver Lehmann, one of the best names in PMP training in the world today. And today, you can still get it at the early bird price. So if you, today is the 15th of February, tomorrow on the 16th of February, you will pay the additional, I think it's $100 more tomorrow than it is today. All right, we got more questions coming in. Will it be enough to pass the if I practice with 2,100 questions? Ved, if you achieve 75 and more in our exam simulator, you have an 88% chance of passing your exam on the first try. That is our statistic that we have. Does this apply to you? Everybody is different. So I cannot give a guarantee, and I will not give a guarantee that this will work for you. Okay. And now, thank you again for being here today. I appreciate your time. And I hope I was able to answer as many of your questions as possible. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time.